Hello everyone and welcome back to another Questions of Life. Today's question is going to be posed by me, and this is this is the ninth cycle that we've gone through. The eighth one, I know on my timeline it's going to be like 7 and then go straight to 9, and that's because 8 is on the AOndo group channel, which the link for will be in the description, so you can check out the 8th cycle that we did. It was a big group vlog, group video that we did. A Warbor asked what was the stupidest things that we have done, and we give some nice stupid things that we've done as children. So without further ado, my question is going to be overplayed on some Dark Souls 3 gameplay, and I took this gameplay while I was rather tipsy after New Year's Eve's party. So, yeah, you can enjoy watching me suck balls at it. In any event, my question is, what animes have given you special experiences or have really stuck with you or defined certain genres for you or given you, whatever. Like animes that you think are special in a way. And for me, I'm going to go all the way back to when I was super young, and I think the first anime that really stuck with me was Sailor Moon. I always tried to watch Sailor Moon when I was a kid, although since my family was around and they would make fun of me for watching this girly show, I tried to, like, oh, I'm going to put Toonami on. Oh, I guess Sailor Moon's on. Whatever. I just want to I'll just leave it on and watch through it until whatever else comes on, like He-Man or Leo Knights or Gundam or whatever. But that was my first introduction to waifus, and I really liked Mars and Venus, and that was like the first time I ever thought, hey, I want to put something inside of that lady. I don't know what it is yet. And then years later I figured out, oh, I know what I want to put inside of her. It's a good old heaping dose of biblical ideology. Being good Christian boys, right? Right? Okay, anyways. After Sailor Moon, Digimon, I think, the second season especially, has given me this love for a particular archetype of characters. The turncoat, the bad guy turned good guy type of character. Because in Digimon, the second season, not the first one, but the second one, there was Ken, who was my favorite character, who was the bad guy for most of the season, until he turns coat because Wormmon almost dies, and he's like, no! And joins the Digidestined, kind of. It isn't until later in the, the third quarter of the season where he actually does end up joining them, but I'm digressing. That anime gave me a love for that particular type of character. It also kind of gave me a love for the, for a kind of broken, story. I'll explain what I mean later when we come up to Index, a certain magical index. But I'm going to go through all of these animes that I've watched in a chronological kind of order, so that I can keep track of it all in my head. So after Digimon, then, I think my first mecha anime was Gundam Wing, and I didn't see all of it until much later, but I really enjoyed the broody, edgy main character, and I was like, oh, he's so cool, he's so broody and edgy. But it wasn't until G Gundam where I really, really, really loved the type of fighting anime arc, or not anime, tournament arc type of show, and really enjoyed tournament arcs. It's given me a great love for fighting shonen-y types of shows, which then led me into watching Naruto and Bleach and all of the other animes that, are super popular, like One Piece, etc., etc. So on that same note, after G Gundam, Toonami then moves into the late night scene, and I get introduced to Rurouni Kenshin, which I absolutely loved. I just freaking loved that red-headed samurai dude and his like, oh, I swear not to kill ever again, Aru, and all of that dumb stuff. But that show, same thing with like G Gundam, where Kenshin wasn't using like overpowered skills or moves to win battles. He was using his wit. It drove me to read the manga, which I then also ended up loving. So Rurouni Kenshin G Gundam really gave me a love for a kind of more intellectual type of battle scenario where it's not, I'm going to use the power of the Rasengan and just put all of my chakra into it and just overpower the enemy like that. Instead, it was a fight where it was brains and skill that overcame the enemy's opposing force rather than just brute forcing your way through. So after Rurouni Kenshin, let's see, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, those were the ones that kind of like took over my anime watching lifestyle for a while. I think the most memorable anime that I saw out of that era was one that didn't even air on Toonami, but rather on Adult Swim. It was Full Metal Alchemist. That anime made me change my sleep schedule because I had seen it one late night on a Saturday because I stayed up really late and I watched it and I went, oh my god, I want to see this more. So I ended up taking the remote and looking at the guide and seeing when the anime airs again because I couldn't stay up until, like 1 o'clock or whatever to watch it. I wanted to get the second airing, and I saw that it shows at like 3:30 in the morning. So I end up going to sleep at 7 a.m., or not 7 a.m., 7 p.m., so like 4 hours after school ends, and waking up at 3 o'clock just so I can watch this anime. And, ooh, I loved it so much. Full Metal Alchemist was something that I had seen and finished before beating Final Fantasy Crisis Core, and it gave me a love for the bittersweet endings that I cultivated throughout the rest of my gaming career, gaming lifestyle. Because the ending of Full Metal Alchemist isn't as bright and cheery as Brotherhood is. And when Brotherhood came out, I didn't watch it initially because I thought the ending and the entirety of Full Metal Alchemist was a masterpiece. I didn't want to ruin it with Brotherhood because it was, going to be something different and like ruin the experience. Until I then read the manga and went, oh my god, this is even more amazing! And then I watched the anime and was like, oh my god, this is even more mind-gasmic! So, Full Metal Alchemist really showed me the kind of depths and lengths that anime as a storytelling medium can give, and really pushed me to go into more animes and watch more of those. Full Metal Alchemist was the one that really pushed me into trying to find another anime that really captured that, and into me then watching a whole bunch of other shows. So after Full Metal Alchemist, there's, let's see here, there's Death Note, Code Geass, Cowboy Bebop, there's a whole slew of things that air. Code Geass, though, definitely the planning that Lelouch does, and like the whole Kikaku kind of thing, Kikaku meaning plan in Japanese, that whole type of thing really shaped what I started liking more in other animes, such as Log Horizon. There's one particular scene, and Boy knows this particular scene, that I absolutely love. The build-up was amazing. And the same thing with like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I really loved the build-up in the last quarter of the show, because that entire bit has almost nothing to do with Edward and Al. They're just in the background while all the other pieces, they're all getting things set up during that thing, and it's just a huge build-up, and then the payoff, the big payload at the end in the final season is just fantastic. I love it. Another thing that I loved too is No Game No Life, which really shaped, which together with Gurren Lagann really shaped my experiences with what I absolutely loved out of anime. And that thing that I really, really love in No Game No Life and Gurren Lagann is this like super hyped moment where like the main characters really shine through and they use their cool main characterisness to overcome whatever difficulties coming around, such as how My favorite part in No Game No Life is sort of speech that he gives to the rest of humanity that's been downtrodden. And in Gurren Lagann, the most hype moment in that show is when the opening music plays during the second to last episode, and the super galaxy, not galaxy, super universe Daigerin fights off against the anti-spiral. And those moments, those moments are why I watch anime. I guess another memorable anime that I watched was Index, Certain Magical Index. So now we can go back to the Digimon thing here, as I'll explain what I really liked about the second season of Digimon. In Index, there is a main character. There is a main female lead too, and they have a story that spans the first 6 episodes. But then in the rest of Index after that, the focus of the story that's happening in the world, like the events that are happening in the world, aren't told solely from the main character's point of view. Like, clearly these two people, Toma and Index, are the main characters, because that's literally what the openings all show, and the anime is called Certain Magical Index. But it shifts from them and is starting to be told from other people's points of view. And then you see how the main characters then kind of come into their storylines and then do their main character thing and end up saving the day or whatever. And I really liked that in Digimon, because in Digimon 2, that is something that happens. It's the same thing in Brotherhood, where the focus is no longer on Edward and Al near the end, but rather on everyone else. And you can see how their parts of the story all kind of interconnect and lead up into this big payoff. And with Digimon 2, that's the same thing that happens in the third quarter of the show, where the Digidestined all leave and go out to find other Digidestined and ask them for their help and cooperation, and like do things all over the world, where the story no longer focuses on the main cast anymore, but rather splits them apart and has them doing a whole bunch of things. And then near the end, there's this payoff where they all come back together and do a cool, rad, super awesome thing. And I really love animes that do that. I love stories that do that as well. And those shows, Digimon, Index, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Log Horizon, No Game No Life, all of those have shaped the stories and things that I look for in other animes, and really contributed to what I enjoy as an adult. Now I'm kind of blanking on all of the shows that I've seen. Oh, there's one anime. One anime that sticks out in particular for me. It's the first and only drama anime that I have ever seen, and it's called Mawaru Penguin Drum. But the characters were, in my opinion, odd, because up to the point where I'd seen Mawaru Penguin Drum, I'd only watched shonen anime. That really shaped my experience of what I was expecting out of Mawaru Penguin Drum. I was expecting like this, and then the characters don't do this, and I'm like, what? Whoa, what? No, what are you doing? No, don't be dumb. Like it pulled me in a little bit. It was the first and only drama anime that I've ever seen, and I really enjoyed it. But I don't think that's an experience that I want to go through again. I don't think that's a type of anime genre that I want to delve into. I think I'll stick with what I got. There was also a brief stint in high school where I was watching anime off of YouTube. That's how I watched Gurren Lagann, because Funimation ended up putting the entire series dubbed on their channel, and I ended up just watching it via YouTube. And that also led me down the path of watching more anime through YouTube that were put up there illegally. Well, not illegally, because what some people would do, which I guess got around the whole transformative portion of the media, was making like a border or whatever, or changing up the video itself so that they can post it on their channels and just have the entire series up on YouTube for whatever. And through this, I ended up watching Mirai Nikki, which was one of the animes that I saw subbed first. Usually, I end up watching animes dubbed. I don't really like subbed, but Mirai Nikki ended up catching my attention really well because it does a thing that I really like in when animes do this, where they have a particular kind of human-ish aspect, like they're focusing on a very human piece, such as with like No Game No Life, overcoming your weakness as a human and overcoming odds, becoming an underdog, whatever. Um, or for instance, Mohari Penguin Drum, where it really got me into that was the kind of magical aspect there, but it was focused mainly on characters and them focusing on their own problems and drama. But Mirai Nikki is a love story. It's a love story hidden behind a battle royale, and I absolutely loved it. It kind of made me look for more things in anime that were like that, where it was, kind of a love story, or this story of someone overcoming their weakness or whatever, but then it has this like veil of like supernatural whatever. There's something else going on in the background that is pushing them to further their relationship, or their story, or their main focus. Let's see, after Full Alchemist Brotherhood, after Index, I think Sword Art Online came out onto Adult Swim, and I'd started watching that. It was my first introduction, I guess, to the isekai genre, which then led me into watching better isekais like Overlord, and Log Horizon, No Game No Life, so on and so forth. Another good one was Madoka Magica, which really almost drove me to tears near the end. It was one of those other bittersweet animes that I really liked. Let's see. Yeah, it was also really short too. Madoka Magica, and I enjoyed the story, but I thought 12 episodes, like, there's no way they can tell an entire story in it. Well, never mind, looks like they did, holy crap. So I really looked for animes that did that, like Gurren Lagann. Gurren Lagann, again, one of my favorites. Best anime I have ever seen, in my opinion. It was stylistically amazing, it was visually stunning, and the story itself had good build-up. It never felt like it was rushing or going too fast. Like, there was appropriate amounts of foreshadowing and appropriate amounts of pacing, I feel. But I think at this point I am digressing a little bit. Let me get back on topic. More memorable experiences that I've had with animes. So I mentioned Sailor Moon, right, and the waifus. When I was, I guess, in high school, I want to say it was high school, I think I saw on YouTube To Love Ru, which was a harem anime that had a whole bunch of waifus. That was like my pinnacle experience with harem animes. I didn't really want to watch any more harems after that. I ended up watching Shuffle because that's what everyone else in my friend group was talking about, and I was like, Shuffle's okay, I guess, but for me, it was To Love Ru. That was my harem right there. That was my harem anime. And it is literally a one slip-up sensor away from being a hentai. It goes straight from ecchi into hentai. It's bordering that line so damn hard. Let's see. Naruto gave me an experience in, like, comedy. So I got that kind of, like, anime could be comedic type of vibe. But it wasn't until I watched Shin-Chan where I thought Shin-Chan was a cartoon the first time I saw it. And then when I realized, oh, wait a second, this is an anime from Japan. Japan made this. I went, oh my god, anime is just doing so many weird things. It could be anything. Holy crap, look at this. It's like a cartoon, but it's better. And that led me into watching Prison School, which, at Prison School, Shimoneta, My Bride is a Mermaid on Netflix. Ooh, Uchiha. You remember the times, right? When we were in my room, sweating up a storm, and we were just watching this hilarious little show on Netflix. Those were the times. But I think that's about it for my experiences. I'm sure there's plenty other anime experiences that I've had that I just can't remember because there's so many. Again, there is so many that I have seen. I think I've seen at least 200 by this point. No, I'm over-exaggerating that number. Maybe 100. I think I've seen 100 anime at this point. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and remember, drive fast, take chances.